Hello and welcome back to WAKA Geek Talk Radio here with Nathan, and it's time to review the next 2 episodes of Superman and Lois as we pick back up after the break we had for 2 or 3 weeks while they let the Olympics take the center stage. But if you saw my previous review, I did a recap, kind of the good, the bad, and the what so far of season 2, covering episodes 1 through 4. Now I'm going to cover 5 and 6. And also, if you haven't seen it, I did a review of kind of a recap of Season 1 and why I feel Tyler Hoechlin is the best person to play Superman since Christopher Reeve, and just so many other things about the show that I really, really enjoy. If you've enjoyed my videos so far, please hit the subscribe button, and let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, in my last review, I basically said the show was looking good, but not feeling great yet, and I was kind of wanting to see where it was going, but mostly good still. So let's take stock of where we are. Now, so episodes 205 and 206 are both great. The episodes were Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, and Tried and True. And number 205 of that, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, is my favorite episode so far of the season 2. We're on fire with fun plot stuff, reveals, answering some questions, asking other questions, and even more, what? But they're intriguing ones more now than they felt like before. First of all, my main what last time was really about Allie Alston, Lois, and Lucy Lane and that whole situation. Wow, well, it turns out all those things are connected with Bizarro Superman. This left off in episode 4 with Lois worried about her reputation. And I was really curious to see what they're going to do with Allie Alston, but we get a good answer to that right off the bat. In the episode 205, we have a flashback showing Allie as a kid basically inheriting her father's estate, which she can do under the condition that she take over this pendant that, according to her uncle, it seems, or some family member, drove her dad crazy. So not a good idea, little girl, but with coldness, she takes this thing and ensures that she's going to be wealthy, but she might be insane. And as we see, this is the same pendant as you have Bizarro wearing, the one that Tag took back to Lieutenant General Anderson on Superman's request. Now, so it basically looks like, with this cult stuff, that Allie is correct about there being an inverse self in a sense, but it's not that she's right out of any good intentions. She has found the Bizarro world because of a combination of the pendant and it looks like some drug use there or whatever. I don't know her whole system. You're able to access or communicate with or go into that world. And with her opposite self there in this Bizarro world, she doesn't call it that, obviously. She calls it the inverse world. She has teamed up to take power because she's the only person who seems to know how to work between the worlds. Now, one of the biggest whats to me also at the end of season 4, before the break, was Chrissy Beppo, the Smallville Gazette editor, basically going to Allie behind the scenes to find out more about Lois Lane because she doesn't trust her anymore when it turns out Lois didn't tell her the whole story about Allie before, which Lois did to protect her sister. And I questioned at the time, and I still question, like, would Lois's integrity really be shattered that much? But I find out that it looks like, yeah, maybe she really slanted the story. Not that Allie isn't horrible. In fact, it looks like she's worse than we thought. But that it's going to look bad in the press to have Lois be so slanted as a journalist, even if it's to protect somebody. Now, Chrissy, I was like, I don't buy Chrissy going behind Lois's back necessarily. At least I don't buy her. Maybe she's spying to talk to Allie to see what Allie's take on Lois is. But whatever it is, it doesn't go the way Chrissy's expecting. Allie drugs her and uses the pendant and other things to basically show Chrissy the Bizarro world, to show Chrissy that it's real. But of course, drugging somebody isn't necessarily, like, without telling them, is not exactly the best way to win over loyalty. And Chrissy, while she's amazed at the world, also sees that Allie is a dark presence there. And of course, other things happen. Now, if you remember, Dr. Faulkner, she was the lady who was basically, seemed to be, we thought, talking to Mitch Anderson a few episodes, but it looks like maybe she was actually talking to Allie about this Bizarro Superman coming through the worlds, through the tunnels. Well, Bizarro kills her, and does it just as he seems to believe that killing is just part of the casualties of war, and doesn't have a moral objection to it like Superman does. And Superman is concerned that the next person that Bizarro is going to come after is Allie, which he's right. Now, this episode's not all about cult stuff and secrets and lies, although there's a lot of that. But it's also about a great fight. There's a great fight between Bizarro and Superman that's really cool because you get to see their opposite powers at work. You know how you've got Superman with his cold breath, but for Bizarro, the Superman, that's the fire breath, and he's got the cold vision, and it's a really cool, well-done fight that makes me glad we have shows like this. To see that Superman get to really, do action in a way that he wasn't able. They didn't have the budget or really means to do it like that back in the Christopher Reeve days. As much as I love Christopher Reeve as Superman, he's my favorite Superman, but I wish he could have had this kind of scenes, Oh, and this is a cool moment, too, also in the fighting, is you see Superman's years of learning his skill after fighting so many years to use tactics in this fight when he's against someone who seems to be stronger at first, and then maybe not so much, which, of course, is because of the yellow sun here weakening Bizarro, because he's the opposite. Now, they take him to the Fortress of Solitude, and with his mother, Clark's able to basically help communicate with Bizarro and find out what is he up to. Well, it turns out Bizarro's here because of Allie. And he believes that Allie is going to destroy or take over the world because of her connection with the other world, where she's apparently like an evil god ruler there. So this is a cool setup because it looks like the two Supermen are going to have to work together. But standing in their way, of course, is good old Lieutenant General Mitch Anderson. The guy who doesn't trust Superman, wants him to swear allegiance just to America, and sent his inexperienced Superman force to face Bizarro, where two of them died. Now, last we saw Superman and Mitch Anderson not getting along, and I felt like Mitch was really being unfair to Superman in that if he'd supposedly learned all he could about Superman's whole life and was a big fan of his adventures, he should have understood Superman better than this. But it just gets worse, because they have to go to the funeral, first of all, for the two fallen Supermen of America that he, helped power, the youngsters who got killed easily by Bizarro. And, again, Clark had recommended against sending this team out, saying they weren't ready. But Anderson did it anyway, and now he's got to go to the funeral where he has to deal with the family of these two fallen heroes, and one of the moms of one of them slaps him hard in the face for letting her daughter die and not apprehending this Bizarro Superman. She doesn't know who the creature is, but she knows the person who did this has not been apprehended. And also, Anderson gets his ass handed to him by his superior officer, who points out very rightly that 20 years or something that General Lane worked with Superman, he didn't have any of these kind of problems. And instead of learning from any of this, Anderson just doubles down and decides to go even harsher. And I kind of felt like that was over the top at first, but then I thought about it. One of the reasons, probably, that General Lane didn't have problems with Superman is that, first of all, General Lane's a much more reasonable person. But also, Anderson doesn't know that General Lane is Superman's father-in-law here. So, perhaps what it really seems here is that Anderson just hates the fact that Superman has some secrets that he doesn't know. And he feels like he wants Superman to tell him all the secrets, which is ridiculous. Superman's obviously got to have some secrets because he is a being from another planet and he's got a secret identity. But Anderson's not going for it. And here's the big shock. After he realizes that Superman's not going to reveal all the secrets that Anderson wants, he arrests Superman for treason, using red rays of the Krypton sun, and to, take his powers down. Now, Superman makes a valiant effort to escape in a really cool fight scene, but he is overpowered and thrown in basically with his brother, or his half-brother, Tal-Rho. Now, this sets up a real big what for next episode or the episode after. Is how is Superman going to get out of here? Because with him in prison, it's going to really allow... who's going to keep a lasso on Bizarro, and what's going to happen with Allie? So this is crazy stuff. So this is all of the best stuff, or the most cool so far. And I really feel like the show's gone back on track. However, let's talk about the side stories briefly. So, because they're getting interesting too. Now, first of all, I really am happy that Sam Lane, especially because he's played by Dylan Walsh, is still in the show and in an important role because he's a good actor and he brings a different perspective. He's not like anybody else on the show. And even though he's not the military liaison for Superman anymore, he's now going to start training Jordan about how to use his powers, how to fight, how to be smart, and a lot of other things. Test his strength. Really cool stuff. And I think one of the things about... He looks younger here, though. The pilot of Superman and Lois last year, he looked a lot older. They gave him a lot more aging up to look like an older, grizzled General Lane. But here, Dylan Walsh is looking a lot younger. Like, he's looking 10, 15 years younger than he did, which is probably because he's now looking his normal age. Also, as I said, I mentioned I worked on Nip Tuck for a couple years, and that was a crazy show with crazy stories. And yet Dylan Walsh was able to bring a reality and genuineness to his character in the show, despite all the stuff going on. And he does that here as well. He's not like anybody else on the show, and he's a different character. Does a really good job. Now, Jonathan... I mentioned last, he starts to get into some X-kryptonite inhalers as a drug when he finds out that the reason the other star quarterback is dominating the field without really being healthy is by using this stuff to give him extra powers. How is this X-kryptonite powers going to enhance Jonathan, who's not having powers developed naturally yet? Well, he tries it, and it gives him a real boost. He wins a game as a quarterback because he's on fire. And I was a little skeptical that he would actually try this at first, but I see what the problem is. Jonathan feels, I think, that he's been neglected. And Jordan's getting powers. Jonathan used to be a star. He was a star quarterback coming from his school. He had a cool girlfriend. He moves here, loses the girl, loses his starting position. All the powers seem to go to Jordan. And during the whole thing last year, he seems to get pushed off to the side. And I feel like now he's like, I'm going to show I deserve to do something cool. Problem is, this is probably a very addictive drug. And he thinks, I can handle it. I'm just using it to start out and get my place on the football team, etc. But who knows what the consequences for him are going to be with Kryptonian blood. Jordan, of course, is not fooled and finds out about this, and they have a difficult scene together because of it. In other side stories, we have Sarah's quinceañera. And in 205, it's ruined more or less, not in front of everybody else, behind the scenes by the revelation that Kyle, her father, had a 6-month affair with a bartender at a local pub, that he was seeing this girl whenever things were going really rough, I guess, the family a couple years back. Now, he broke it off, but he goes to talk to the bartender in the end of 205 to say, hey, or actually, I think it was the end of 204, with the mayoral campaign by Lana, making sure that nothing is kind of discovered about them, but he does this and it backfires. The girl makes this crazy decision of coming to the quinceañera outside and basically demanding he come outside so she can talk to him, where she tells him that she told her best friend about this affair and that they might talk to the mayor, the current mayor, who could use this as dirt. I mean, why would she do that? This is one of those moments where I felt like this was a bit dramatic and unrealistic. Not saying people don't do this, but for her to come there and talk to him at that time and that moment seemed like the worst possible thing to do. And of course it is, because she's overheard by Sarah and Jordan, and now the whole family for Lana and Kyle and the daughters is up in the air, and who knows? Kyle really doesn't want to lose Lana. He makes a very passionate, genuine plea, but, this is a big deal. And affairs and cheating and possible divorce are really big issues, real ones. The reason why I felt like this is a little bit soap opera-y is that this is done in a way that nothing like this was hinted at all last season. Last season, we had a really wonderful journey where Kyle learns to see the truth about Morgan Edge and learns to listen and trust Clark and Lois more and his own wife more. Now he's supporting her mayoral campaign. This feels like something that came out of left field. They threw in and just came up with this season. And I'm just not sure how that's going to go. I don't feel like it's added anything really to the overall arc of the show this season, except maybe the issue of how it affects Sarah's life and Lana's, and the issue of trust. Because one thing I have noticed already, this season's theme so far, I mentioned there's a lot of misdirection. Part of that has to do with trust. Who do you trust? Can you trust them? Because here it's, can she trust Kyle? Anderson doesn't think he can trust Clark, and Clark doesn't think he can trust him. And Lucy Lane doesn't trust Lois because Lois didn't seem to be genuine in dealing with Allie. And can you trust Allie? What's she really up to? A lot of trust issues going on right now that's very interesting. Now, overall, though, I'm going to say this show is really back on track. The last 2 episodes, first of all, episode 205 is my favorite of this season, but they were both good, and they both have really got me interested. I'm really excited. I'm a little worried about where the Lane or the, Lana's family story is going to go. I hope it's not too dramatic and sad, but the show is overall really good. And we still have Tyler Hoechlin just proving every episode how good of a Superman and especially how amazing of a Clark Kent he is. I mean, it's really awesome stuff. Now, next time, it looks like from the promos for the next week's episode that Clark may have to team up or get the help of Tal Rowe, his half-villain brother, to get out of his imprisonment. So that's going to be really interesting. Now, Superman and Lois airs every Tuesday night. Looking forward to next week. I want to know what your thoughts are, though. What did you like or not like about the current episodes so far? What are your theories? And let me know. And if you like these videos, please hit the subscribe button. Please share. And I will catch you all next time here on WAKA Geek Talk Radio.